All right, happy Thanksgiving, Central Georgia. It's Meteorologist Ansley Parker here. I am in for Meteorologist Alex Pride this morning, so I am going to take over what he does every day at 11, and we're going to take a look at the extended forecast. Of course, today is going to be heavily focused on what you can expect for your Thanksgiving holiday and Black Friday tomorrow, and then what we are going to expect for the upcoming weekend as well. The good news is it's a lot of really good weather, especially for today, and you can kind of already tell by what I'm standing in front of right now, which is all of the sky cams across the area, and they're all showing this same exact thing, which is clear as can be blue skies outside right now. Now, you know, this wasn't exactly the case yesterday and earlier in the work week. We did have rain, we did have a lot of cloud cover, and just generally some nastier weather in the past couple of days. So to have clear blue skies now, especially for Thanksgiving, is just wonderful. It's the same again across all four sky cams. Not much else to point out other than the blue skies. The one thing that we will be talking about a lot is actually the one thing that you can't see, and that is the temperatures across the area. So what brought our rain chances earlier in this week was actually a cold front. Now that cold front has swept across our region, and you can see it's dropped numbers a really good bit, not only in our area here, but across a lot of the eastern half of the United States. It's chillier, cooler air out there, and you can kind of see where it hasn't crossed through just yet. That dividing line between Jacksonville and Orlando is kind of where the front is sitting right now, a good temperature spread between those two areas. But if we zoom in a little more locally to our central Georgia area, temperatures across the board right now are in the upper 40s to low 50s. Now, the one thing that's important is that this is actually not a crazy cool temperature, and neither was this morning. We kind of bottomed out this morning in the upper 30s, low 40s. But if you found yourself outside this morning, you may have really found yourself needing a jacket or just felt like those numbers felt especially chilly. That's probably because we're in a little bit of a temperature shock this morning. We are way cooler than we were this time yesterday. In fact, early this morning when we hit the lows, we were over 25 degrees cooler than we were yesterday morning. So right now, still sitting close to that number. We're up to about 15 to 20 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. And this temperature map right here is kind of the story that you need to know for most of Thanksgiving today. It's just going to be a lot cooler than it was yesterday. And that cold front, not only did it clear the skies out, but it also cooled our air down. And we are going to be sitting actually much closer to average for this time of year, not only for Thanksgiving today, but also heading into the upcoming weekend. And a little bit of a spoiler alert, in the long-term forecast, those warm numbers will not be returning to us. So if you're like myself, you were a fan of the warmer weather. I actually really enjoyed the last couple of days, but this is a little bit more reminiscent of what you would expect for Thanksgiving. We're kind of getting the chill in the air, a little bit of a holiday feel, so hopefully that feels a bit enjoyable to you today. Now, not only do we have cooler temperatures themselves, but there is going to be a bit of a breeze out there today coming in from the north. That's going to add to the chill in the air as well. So right now we've got this steady breeze. It's around 5 to 15 miles per hour, but these numbers in yellow here are our wind gusts. Notice wind gusts today up to around 20 miles per hour. So you will likely notice the breeze today. Again, like I said, that may add to how it feels outside as well. Right now, it's not playing a huge role on the feels like numbers, but in a couple of spots that we're actually hanging out in the low 50s, it's making it feel a little bit more like the mid to upper 40s. So a bit of a wind chill out there today. It will probably be noticeable. I think the main thing that you need to know for Thanksgiving Day is just, it's the first time in a while that you probably need to grab a jacket for the afternoon. It's going to be sunny, it's going to be breezy, and just overall a lot cooler. I got to break out the turkey with the glasses because there's no rain chance today. It's just going to be sunny skies, and temperatures will be your bigger focus for the afternoon. The highs today are going to be in the upper 50s. So to give you some perspective, yesterday's high temperature was 75 degrees. We are a good couple of degrees cooler than that, around 15 degrees cooler for today's high. And actually notice the average high for this time of year is supposed to be in the mid 60s. So we're sitting a little bit cooler than average for this time of year. And like I said, overall, it's just kind of a shock to the system because of the warm numbers that we had over the last couple of days. So with temperatures kind of addressed for now, which we're going to jump back into temperatures for the weekend here in a minute. Let's jump over to rain chances, cloud cover, rain, and talk about today, and then again the next few days heading into the weekend. So big picture, satellite and radar, you can see what I was telling you about just a minute ago. The remnants of the cold front that swept through our area actually still producing some showers off the coast and a good bit of cloud cover as well. Now, kind of a low pressure system over here in Tennessee. That's what's producing the cloud cover that you see up there in North Georgia. But here in our area, it's just about as quiet as it could be. Maybe a passing cloud from time to time. Other than that, there's not a whole lot heading our direction for the rest of today. If we take away the cloud cover and just flip on the radar, you can see there's no rain out there right now, and there's not going to be any rain heading into the rest of the day. Thanksgiving Day is going to be completely dry. You don't need to worry about rain. If you're heading outside to fry the turkey, hang out, play football, anything like that, you should be good to go today. The only concern for you should be temperatures for Thanksgiving. As we head into Friday and the upcoming weekend, there won't be too many changes on the way. Again, we'll have a little bit of a breeze this afternoon. That's why I threw the turkey that's blowing in the wind on there. And then as we head into Friday, we are still going to see kind of the same pattern here. Cooler, maybe still a little bit breezy for Friday, but in terms of rain chances, there's still nothing on the way for Friday either. Friday night, you may begin to notice a couple more clouds entering the picture that will try to linger around into Saturday. But aside from cloud cover for Saturday, there's still really no major rain chance on the way. It's not until Sunday night, really starting Sunday, that we start to see a rain chance once again, and it's going to be a low end one at that. So through the short range forecast, which is basically today, tomorrow, and Saturday, there's not going to be a rain chance on the 7-day forecast. You have a really great forecast to enjoy Thursday, Black Friday, and then if you have to travel on Saturday, you should have smooth sailing in terms of traveling in the weather department. I know traffic starts to pick up a little bit on Saturday, but in terms of weather, there shouldn't be anything else to get in your way in our specific area. I'll show you a big picture view here in just a minute. But again, we're still looking for rainfall. It's really something that we need. As of the latest drought monitor, which gets updated every Tuesday, we are still in mostly severe drought conditions across a majority of our counties here in central Georgia. And you can see down there in Crisp County, and then even over here towards Upson and Lamar, we're creeping closer to being in extreme drought categories here in our area. A couple spots still hanging on to the moderate drought in our northern counties, but the big picture overall of the drought monitor is that we need rain, and we didn't get a lot of it with our last rainfall event. Again, the brunt of this was over in West Georgia, up in North Georgia. I actually was at home earlier this week up in Atlanta, and we got a good bit of rainfall up there, and I was just crossing my fingers hoping, okay, I hope that some of this rainfall gets down into central Georgia. Unfortunately, not a ton of it did make its way down there. In the heaviest spots over here in Twiggs County was one of the heaviest spots I could pick out. Maybe close to 1.5 inches of rain, but the majority of our area saw less than 1 inch of rain, likely closer to somewhere between 0 to 1/2 inch of rain. So not what we would really need to reverse drought categories. Definitely not what you see over in West Georgia, where they actually got a really good amount of rain, close to 3 inches of rainfall over there towards LaGrange. We are still looking for that next best shot of rain for us. The good news is there does look to be another rain chance on the 7-day forecast. So we're not entering another completely dry stretch, but there's going to be a couple of chances for us to get some rainfall. Like I said, Friday, Saturday are going to be dry, but as we start to enter Sunday, another front is on the way. And like I said, if you're traveling at the end of the weekend, here in our area, things look to be okay. But if you're heading out towards the west, this front will probably cause a little bit of a messy travel for you. But this is kind of as far as the graph model, which is our short range model, will go. This takes us out to Sunday morning at 4 a.m. You can see some widespread rain, more organized rain down there in Louisiana, associated with another cold front that's on the way. Actually, spurs up some snow up here in North Carolina. We won't be worried about that. Fear even saying the S word sometimes, but this will be heading our direction, and we will get a shot at a couple of showers. But when I flip it over to the long range and play it out until Sunday night, notice not quite as impressive by the time it gets to our area. Probably a similar thing where there's going to be 1 or 2 scattered showers that don't end up putting down a ton of rainfall. So that's Sunday. We've got this first round that comes through. We get something, but overall it doesn't look super impressive. Probably not going to be our next best shot at getting out of our drought conditions. Okay, so track with me. That's Sunday. We've got a weak rain chance that comes through Sunday. By Monday, another rain chance is on the way. We've got this low pressure system that comes off the coast, and it potentially could bring us a little bit of a better shot at rain, but Monday still looks iffy. A couple of scattered showers. I don't think that Monday is going to be our best widespread rain chance, but it may be a little bit better than what we see on Sunday. As this low pressure system tracks its way further towards the north on Tuesday, that looks like a pretty good shot at rain. Definitely the best shot that the long range models have given us in a long time. So this kind of needs to be fine-tuned over the next couple of days, but I actually have the most, I guess, excitement or promise about this Monday, Tuesday rain chance that I have in a while, and I'll show you why when I show you the projected rainfall totals here in just a minute. So kind of a messy end to the weekend and start to next work week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it does look like there's a rain chance on the way. How much we're going to see right now, it still remains to be seen, but it's looking at least promising for the moment. So if you've got interest in traveling, again, I showed you kind of out towards the west on Sunday, a little bit messy, and then Monday and Tuesday definitely looking like they're going to be messy days as well. Sunday itself is already going to be one of the heaviest traffic days for holiday travel. So if that is your plan, I would try to go on the GDOT website. They outline the times that are best to travel during bad traffic days. I believe it's before 11 a.m. is usually the best time if you can get out before that. I think that the worst time, if I'm remembering correctly, is sometime between 1 to 7 p.m. That's just a little bit of traffic info to throw out there for you, but weather probably will play a role in traffic Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday if you happen to be heading back that late. But the good news is after Tuesday, this system moves on and then we're back to the dry stretch to kick off Wednesday. So a little bit of promise here with the rain chances. Now let's take a look at what the projected rainfall totals could be with these long range models here. Now this is the GFS model. We were just looking at that. That was the model that was in green on the long range map that we just saw there. And by the time we get to Thursday morning, so that includes all of the rainfall events, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, it says that will probably be somewhere between ½ an inch to an inch of rain. I will say that's not bad. That's pretty promising compared to what we've seen over the last couple of rainfall events. When we steer closer to this kind of green color and you see that taking over most of our area, that's when I start to get a little bit doubtful, because that's when we're looking at rainfall totals that are between 0 to ½ an inch of rain like we just saw. When we get closer to these blues and purples, especially on the long range models, that's when I start to have a little bit more promise about an incoming rainfall event. So that was the GFS. Now we're going to look at the Euro, the other long range model that we were looking at in blue. And how about that? A little bit more promising. We're in the purple here, even creeping closer to the red, which means we could be over the 2-inch category when all is said and done. So again, that includes Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday's rainfall event. I show you this just to show you that these exact totals are not to take to heart necessarily. Long range models specifically are what we call low resolution. So they operate on kind of a larger scale. They're not going to get down county by county and know the exact amounts like this. It just kind of gives us an idea of where the heaviest rainfall amounts could be. If that means that it's over our state, especially over the central Georgia region in general, that's usually a pretty good thing for us in terms of the rainfall that we could see. So we'll call this promise. We're going to see how this looks over the next couple of days. When we can get the short range models to give us a better idea, then we will have more details about how much rain we potentially could see. But we'll call this a good shot at seeing our next best widespread rainfall, probably sometime Monday heading into Tuesday, but there is going to be several rounds where we just kind of generally have some dreary, unpleasant weather. So I'll show you that on the 7-day forecast here in a minute, just kind of wrap it all up in a pretty bow, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of a better idea of rainfall chances here in the next couple of days. And now we're going to turn it back to the temperatures. I mentioned we were going to be on this cooler stretch for a while. Remember, yesterday's high temperature was 75 degrees. That was around 10 degrees above average for this time of year. Not only that, the overnight low was 51 degrees, which is almost 10 to 11 degrees warmer than the average for this time of year. So it's no surprise we've been on a warm stretch. Last week we broke record high temperatures in the 80s. It has been unseasonably warm for the last week or so, even kind of beyond that. The 7-day forecast has had a lot of 70s and a lot of 80s, but we're actually going to flip in the opposite direction over the next couple of days and work our way back towards even below average for this time of year. It starts today. High temperatures are going to be in the upper 50s, below average for this time of year. And then Friday and Saturday are going to be a really cold stretch. When we have cold fronts that come through, this is just a totally nerdy tidbit, but I'm going to throw it out there because we're on the stream and that's what it's all about. Friday is important, and it's actually the coolest day because when you have a cold front come through, obviously that first day that you get the cold air is a lot chillier. That's today, the Thursday that we're sitting in. But actually, when you have a change in air mass, a cold air mass coming through, the second day of what we call cold air advection is actually the coldest one. So if you go by that rule of thumb, we're on Thursday, it's a little chillier, but Friday is going to be the coldest day, and you'll definitely notice that as we hit the overnight lows to kick off early Saturday morning. So I'll show you the morning lows here in just a minute, but we kind of steadily work our way back up after that coldest day, which is Friday. But these 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, are going to be chilly in the 50s. We'll likely still have a little bit of a breeze out there, and the overnight lows are going to be really cold. Then enter our rain chances as we head Sunday and into the early portion of the work week. We warm back up a good bit. So we kind of hang out somewhere around average for this time of year. But overall, do I think that it's going to be quite as warm as last week? No. This is probably a week you're going to be grabbing at least a light jacket on your way out the door, and you'll notice the temperatures a lot more than you did last week in the opposite way. Again, overnight lows are going to follow suit. They're going to be okay. This morning we were in the 40s, but like I was just talking about, that second day of cold air advection, we're going to have temperatures in the upper 20s by tomorrow morning, and then by Saturday, even colder than that. So this Friday, Saturday stretch is going to be pretty chilly. That means that you probably need to start putting your cold weather practices back into place. Remember, that's pets, pipes, plants, and people. Go ahead and just kind of do the things that you got to do for overnight lows that could be near or below freezing. Again, it's been a while since we've had to do this, so this is just kind of dusting off the rust, throwing in all the old reminders to say that this may come as a little bit of a shock to you. If you have to be out early Friday, if you're one of the folks who still heads out for early Black Friday deals, bring a jacket for sure. It's going to be really cold, in fact, probably below freezing. And if you got early Saturday plans, heading out for tailgating, college football, anything like that, again, grab a jacket. It's going to be pretty chilly for both of those days. And then we kind of steadily work our way back up. Not too as warm as we were for this past week, but warmer than we're going to be in the 20s and in the 30s, again, closer to average for this time of year. The average low is 40. The average high is 66. So as we head into Sunday and the early portion of the work week, we'll be sitting a little bit closer to average for this time of year. So I know I just threw a lot at you. Generally, to kind of wrap it up in a little bow, I think the 7-day forecast does a really good job of that. So we'll start with the short range here, which is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. That's today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Obviously, today is Thanksgiving, and it is going to be a great Thanksgiving weather-wise. You don't really have a lot to worry about in the short-term forecast. Of course, it's going to be chilly. That's going to be our biggest focus here for the next 3 days. High temperatures that are in the 50s. Friday, likely going to be your coldest of the three. We're talking low 50s for Friday as opposed to the mid to upper 50s for today and Saturday. Again, those are the days that your overnight lows will probably be near or below freezing, somewhere in the upper 20s for a lot of spots, but low 30s for those that hang out somewhere a little bit warmer. So a bit of a chilly stretch here for the next 3 days, and then enter our rain chances as we start talking about Sunday and the early work week. Do I think that Sunday itself is going to be a total washout of a day? Not necessarily, but we do have a chance to have a couple of scattered showers. I don't think we're going to have a great rain chance Sunday, but especially if you're traveling, I think it may cause a little bit of a headache for holiday traffic on Sunday. So be aware of that. Again, that is one of the worst traffic days already. The best days, if you kind of are hearing this and maybe want to switch up your plans, are actually today and Friday. Obviously, people probably won't be leaving on Thanksgiving, but Friday ends up being a fairly clear traffic day as well. Saturday is considered a moderate traffic day, and then Sunday is considered a heavy traffic day. So if we throw rain into the mix, that may make things a little bit more complicated, just to give you a little bit of a heads up. So a kind of low end rain chance for Sunday. I will say I went for a 40% chance of rain here on Monday based on what the long range models were showing me on timing. Now seeing the latest run of both of the long range models, I probably would bump Tuesday up to a 40 as well. In fact, I may go ahead and do that before midday. This is kind of how we change the forecast in real time. We get these new runs and then we go ahead and make updates to the forecast based on what we're seeing. So you'll likely see this 30 turn into a 40 as we head into the midday hour here, because that's kind of the more promising rain chance. And I want there to be a distinguishing factor between this Sunday to Monday and Tuesday rain chance here. Then the temperatures for those 3 days where we do have rain chances are going to be closer to average. They won't necessarily be warm, but somewhere in the upper 50s, low 60s, which again is closer to where we should be for this time of year. The overnight lows will certainly be a bit warmer, somewhere in the low 40s as opposed to the upper 20s, which is where we're going to be for the next couple of days. So again, a good shot at rain here in the early portion of the work week as we kick off December, which I can't even believe I'm saying. The year has flown. And then as we lose the rain chance Tuesday and we head into Wednesday, we're going to dry back out, and then the temperatures are going to hang out back in chilly for this time of year. So The big kind of picture here for the 7-day forecast is that we're making our way back to where we should be for this time of year. You'll likely notice the change of the temperatures as you make your way throughout your day every day. I'd grab a jacket or just have one on hand. And then as we head into the end of the weekend and the early portion of next work week, that's when a probably more promising rain chance will be on the way. We're going to talk a lot about rainfall totals over the next couple of days as we kind of get more information. So we'll fine tune that. You'll likely see these percent chances of rain change based on the data that we are seeing as we climb into the weekend. So overall, that's kind of what you need to know. At least the very most important part is that the holiday forecast is looking perfect. If you got plans today, hopefully you're enjoying rest and relaxation with your family. I know it's Thanksgiving. I want to shout out to my family as well, my parents and my 3 younger siblings, Luke, Landry, and Valor. I'm very grateful to have such a loving and wonderful family, and I hope that you're able to say the same on this Thanksgiving. So hopefully the weather does not get in your way of your plans today. Doesn't seem like it should, as long as you can have a jacket on you. And if you are looking for the Black Friday forecast, I will be right back here tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. to break that down and talk a little bit more about the rain chances for the end of the week and the early work week. So I'll see you at midday. And then until then, again, you can find us on 13 WMAZ+. Have a great Thanksgiving.